Welcome back for another episode of the Office Hours Podcast with Professor Brad Perkins. Today in the podcast room, we have a full house, and I'll let everybody introduce themselves. But first, I want to introduce our guest of honor today, Beth Duyvejonck, one of my, I was going to say oldest friends, but one of the friends I've had the longest in construction, right?
And oldest.
And, okay, yeah, yes, but see, it's not fair. Because we went to school at the same time, but I know our other people in the studio, they're like, there's no way that they went to school at the same time. He looks like twice her age. Okay, yeah, it's okay. You can say it. But anyway.
We were both non-traditional students, Brad.
That is true.
You were old and I was a girl.
That is so mean. She says I was old. I was 21. As a freshman, that is kind of old. Okay. All right. So you're right. I was old. She was a girl. You were both in construction. We were in Connie 221 together before it was 222. Dr. Ed Jaselskis taught it, and Mark Federley. They kind of remember that.
I do remember.
Yeah.
They co-taught.
They co-taught. And then we had most of our classes together as we proceeded through.
Right.
Right.
Did we graduate in the same year, 97?
97, but I graduated spring and you graduated fall because you had a co-op.
Yes.
Okay. But we were lab partners on estimating and multiple other classes.
It was before the capstone, though. There was not a capstone at the time.
Yes, it was before capstone was a thing. Sophia's like, that ain't fair.
That's not fair.
What's that? No, it's not. It's not. Program's way harder than when we went through.
However, we had to do all of our takeoffs by hand.
Okay.
So
I'll give you that.
Okay. Yeah. Not just in 241, like all of them. That was. Yeah. See, that's why I make them do it by hand in 241. It's because I had to.
Yep.
All right.
That's why you don't use Canvas still.
What's that? I use Canvas.
Brad, you do not
You don't use
Canvas.
Or email.
Those newfangled things are just a fad. Right here, back me up, Beth. Beth and I, we were freshmen when email came out to Iowa State students. We were part of the first students to get email.
Yes, when I did my when I was interviewing, the companies were very proud to let me know that everyone got their own computer.
Everyone?
Everyone.
Oh,
They
wow.
used to have one on a cart, but now everyone had their own.
Everyone had their own. That is okay. Hold on. Let's see here. So just in class, Ava, back me up on this. Just in class, I totally dated myself because we were doing calculations for air conditioning load, and I said that I was so old that we literally had the discussion. Do you think everyone in this office building will have a computer? Right? They're looking at me like, come on, that's not a thing. He's making that up.
No.
Right? Nope, it's all true. All right, so that kind of dates Beth, started Beth's career.
Right.
Beth, if you want to talk about
we've known each other for a while.
For a minute, yeah.
Would you like an intro?
Absolutely, please.
Okay. So we covered that I graduated construction engineering in 1997. I started working for Opus right out of school. I did a co-op with Beck in Dallas. And when I was there, they were starting to look into design build as a delivery system.
Yeah, it was a fairly new idea.
It was a fairly new idea, and they were bringing in different companies to talk to the employee base about design build. And what I gathered out of that wasn't that I was going to go back to that company or that I was going to go back to Texas, but that I was going to learn everything I could about design build. And that meant going to career services because, as we covered, there really was no internet at that time. So it was not as easy as just looking up who does design build.
Design build?
It took some research, and I learned about Opus and interviewed with Opus and learned that Minneapolis has a very robust design build industry, both with the general contractors and the subcontractors, and knew that's what I wanted to do. So I started working for Opus right out of college as an associate project manager. And I'm guessing we're going to cover kind of the rest of my career in a bit here.
Absolutely.
So I'll serve that just as my intro.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so going from there, design build, I don't think anybody in the Iowa market was doing any. I'm probably wrong on that, but it was a new idea.
And even now sometimes it gets sold as a new idea. But so Opus was founded in 1953, and they were doing design build then. So it's not
new idea.
New in concept, right?
But I would say it is not for idiots.
That's true. That is true.
And what I'm saying by that is so when I do expert witness stuff, the vast majority of the worst cases I see are people that did design build wrong. People that are like, oh, design build means we just build and we can skip the whole design thing.
Mm-hmm.
Codes, engineers, architects, they're all expensive. Let's just skip that part. Never goes well.
No. That's really where the magic is doing the design well.
Doing the design part.
Yeah.
And back then, and this is kind of a benefit that our students have now, but back then, the whole idea of a construction engineer doing design work was foreign. Like when I was looking for a design job coming out of college, and I had to convince companies that I could actually do design. They're like, yeah, we don't do construction. I'm like, I'm not looking for a construction job. I'm looking for a design job. So when I interviewed at Burns & McDonnell in Kansas City, I literally had told, and once again, it's a different world. Your entire chance to learn about companies was at the career fair. That was it.
Right.
I mean,
because there was not an internet available to you.
No, there wasn't. So companies that showed up, you had that one afternoon to go and talk to everybody and figure out who's doing what and give them resumes and the whole thing. And if you didn't do it then, it just wasn't happening. So, I get an interview with Burns & McDonnell. I mean, others too, but, so I go down there for the interview, and they had sent me to the construction department for the interview.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm there for like an hour, and I'm like, oh, I'm in the wrong spot, and I'm literally like, hey, this really sounds like a construction job, and that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a design job. And I'm like, let's just cut to the chase on this. And so they're like, oh, yeah, this is the wrong group for that. Yeah. And the problem was I was talking to someone in human resources, and in their mind, no matter what you said, they're like, they look at your resume and they're like, oh, over here.
They saw construction engineering
Yes.
and put you with their construction team.
Yes, they did. They did. So not that they haven't hired a whole lot of our graduates to do construction, so it's an honest mistake, but, it was just a different world. How was Opus at that? Like hiring you at that time for design,
So Opus was primarily hiring engineers to do construction management because of the design build delivery and really looking for that problem solving skill in their project managers.
Okay, so as a company, they'd already bought into the whole, we're going to hire engineers.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's definitely, I think that attitude is, I think the industry now sees construction engineering as a far more flexible degree. And so that's good for all of our students.
Correct.
It
Correct.
is. It really
so many
is.
options.
Yep. All right. Well, let's go around the room because we have several people. Sophia, you've done this before as pretty much one of my most frequent guests ever. So go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we'll go around the room.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Sophia Mordini, and I'm a senior in construction engineering. I just hired on to DPR in the Denver office.
Hi, my name is Olivia Lorens. I'm a junior in the construction program, and last year I interned with Pepper Construction.
All right. Do you have plans for this summer?
Yes, this summer I'll be working for Power Construction.
Okay. All right. Well, which city?
Chicago.
Chicago. Okay. All right. Here we go over there. Ellie?
Hi, I'm Ellie Jensen. I'm a junior in construction engineering. Last summer, I interned with Commonwealth Electric Company of the Midwest. And then this summer, I'm going to intern with Burns & McDonnell down in Kansas City.
And despite my best of attempts, I cannot convince Ellie to switch from electrical to mechanical. All right. Anyway, we still like her anyway, so she's still here. Go ahead, Lily.
I'm Lily Anderson. I'm a junior in construction engineering. Last summer, I interned with Boyd Jones Construction, and I'm doing that again this summer.
I'm Alexa Peters. I'm a junior in construction engineering. Last summer, I interned with J.E. Dunn down in Kansas City, and I'm doing the same this summer.
I'm Ava Becker. I'm a sophomore in construction engineering, and last summer I interned for power construction. This summer I'm interning for Ryan in Des Moines.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for being here. So, obviously, having gone around and done introductions, I guess I am the elephant in the room, aren't I? The only guy here. And that's on purpose, okay? So some of my students from last semester, they had asked for me to find a guest for the podcast, someone that is in construction, has navigated that work-life balance, and their specific request was I find someone that was also a mother. So I'm like, ooh, who do I know that's successful in construction and has navigated this work-life balance? And as a mom, my good friend, Beth Duyvejonck. Okay. And just so, I mentioned this out in the hallway, but to the students, Beth is one of the best examples I could think of. Of all the people in my career that I know, you have an expert at all of these things here. And, just so that you're all lucky that I was your 241 instructor and not Beth. Okay. Let's be honest, Beth. If I could, you're probably one of the toughest women in this industry that I know. The guys in my class feared you. To be a teammate with Beth was
I held them to high standards.
That is so cute the way you said that. I held them to high standards. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this is why I loved having her as a partner. It's like, hey, let's get our stuff done. Let's get it done fast, And Beth, you would love to know this now that I'm an instructor in these classes. Our students today have an option that we did not have. Teammates can be fired.
I have heard of this.
Yes. Yeah. Teammates can be fired. And it's because of some of our teammates that we had when we were students that firing policy is a thing. I sure wish it would have been back then.
Oh, I still remember when we got together the night before our estimating project was due, and the student who was in charge of steel let us know that they had finished counting the bolts. That's as far as they'd gotten with the steel. They'd finished counting the bolts.
Oh, God, I had forgotten this. Yes. Oh, and then we...
I had to sit down.
Yeah. I'm surprised one of us didn't have a complete meltdown over that one. I remember this vividly now. I had blocked this out of my brain. But now, it's this many bolts. I'm like... No.
What about the rest
what about
of it?
the rest of this? And
you could have skipped the bolts.
Yeah. Solid idea. That was awesome.
Yeah.
So I believe that was a late night. And
that was my one all-nighter.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think I might have pulled others, but that one was a tough one.
Yeah.
So, and you got to understand, that was the 400 level. That was where construction engineering ended. There was no capstone after that. That was
the capstone.
I mean, that was, scheduling and estimating were the capstone at the time. So this is a big deal. And like Beth says, we were doing it by hand, so it was a long bit. So, it's because of experiences like that now teammates can be fired. And I think that's a good thing. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, you're in industry.
Right.
What do you think? You've been both. It's like.
I think the thing to remember when you fire someone is that then someone else needs to do that work. That's been maybe the biggest lesson I've learned with firing in my career. I can remember showing up at the job site once, and the superintendent, he had so many issues with our fire sprinkler sub, and I arrived, and he was so excited to let me know he'd fired our fire sprinkler sub. And I'm like, so how do you have a plan? Like how?
Yeah, you should have a plan before you do it.
We still need a fire sprinkler system. So just have a plan. If you're going to fire someone, you need a plan.
Oh, true.
It might feel good in the moment, but the next moment
when reality sets in. Okay. All right. That is true enough.
I should ask, where what are the language restrictions in your podcast?
There aren't any because we put it on the internet, so feel free to swear away, Beth.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome. That's an absolute 100% thing.
I almost had twice already, so I figured I should check.
Let it out. Let it out. We're good, you know. I put it's not for kids and no restrictions.
All right.
Okay.
Fair.
All right. I'm sad I can't offer you a beer or something because I would absolutely do that. But, electronics beer, that's probably not that great of an idea. So, all right. So here, let's open it up. Okay. So students, so you're the one that requested this. Beth was kind enough to drive all the way down from Minneapolis, braving the Iowa winter. Fortunately, it's not terrible this week. Okay, but
Yeah,
it
it's
has been in the past.
borderline gorgeous out.
Oh, weird. Shh. Okay, now it's going to blizzard on you on the way home. I just know it. All right, so students, who's got some questions for our guest? Yes, Sophia.
I think just to kind of open it up, you guys have already talked a lot about how the program stopped a lot earlier than what we're offered right now.
Yeah.
And I know that, especially with women, a lot of people have imposter syndrome going out into the industry. What would you accredit the biggest learning experience or how you got so familiar with construction right away? What taught you the most out of college?
Yeah, I didn't have a background in construction. My dad was an accountant and my mom was a math major. So the numbers came easy, but I was completely unfamiliar with the language, with the terminology. I bought a construction dictionary. I still have a construction dictionary. So I had to familiarize myself with another language. I would credit our amazingly patient field supervisors for any of the kind of growth and comfort and confidence on the job site. So I would give the advice to partner up with your field supervisor, spend as much time on the job site as you can, and ask all the questions. You will learn so much, and from your subcontractors. So if you do go to work for a general subcontract or for a general contractor, your mechanical sub, your glass and glazing sub, ask all the questions. It takes some time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and one thing I would throw in there is that is the same for everybody. And everybody suffers from this imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are just better at hiding it than others. Don't feel like, oh, I'm the only one that doesn't know this. Absolutely do not. So I teach some classes, some professional development classes to like MCA of America, Master Builders of Iowa. And I get, you might get someone that's been a superintendent in the field for 20 years and they're taking this class. And the thing they like about it is because other people that are brand new get to ask the questions and they get to listen to the answers.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but we're bad about this in the construction industry. Like somehow asking a question makes you look, weak or vulnerable or something. Ask, get that help, because everybody is suffering from imposter syndrome at some level.
I have learned that if I have a question, chances are that at least one other person in the room has the same question. I'd say the difference that I've seen between how a woman might experience imposter syndrome and how males would experience it is that there is a presumed level of credibility for men on a job site that doesn't exist for women, and so having, I like to say that while you're still kind of building your confidence and credibility, you have the ability to borrow from others. And so finding someone who that will be your advocate, will lend you some of that credibility as you're building it is important. And I had many of those over the years who would just would say, Beth knows the most about that. Let's hear from her. So just those things, those little comments that help you to build your credibility, and that's where we can advocate for one another.
And I would say finding a good mentor is so important. Or finding someone and this is key. Anyone that's done a sport, okay, so I've coached several sports. There's athletes that are good, and the ones that are great are the ones that are really good at accepting coaching. So part of this is, one, you got to find a good coach, but then two, you also have to accept coaching well. In other words, it's not a one-sided type of a thing. You got to do your part. Now, finding a good coach, the problem is you don't know if they're really good until years later. But that's where finding people in the industry that you respect, especially like just stuff like this, network, the basics of stuff, networking, finding other people, especially someone like Beth that's been there, done that, doing the exact same thing with the exact same degree you are. That's actually part of the purpose of this. It's like, okay, this is doable. It is possible. It will take work, and you can help yourself out a lot by finding that good mentor.
Yeah. And a good mentor might not be in the place where you work. For a lot of people, they're actually not comfortable having their mentor be at the place where they work because they want to ask all the questions, right? And you don't always want to ask all the questions of your direct supervisor. So finding that in one of my notes is... because Beth has notes. Finding your village and building that village and feeding into that village before you need it is really important. And so you said networking, and it's similar to that, I would say. But when you hear network, it's often you're thinking about who you might build your network before you lose your job, right? So
there's nothing wrong with that either.
You want to have built your network so that when you need them, they're there for you. And when I say village, I'm talking about a larger group who is going to help pick your kid up from school if you're in the middle of a meeting. And so you need to build that village of people and feed into it before you need it.
Ooh, there's a good part. And then I think, that's the whole thing. I'll pick your kid up from school. That's not necessarily just, we're talking other than just work here.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, we're really talking about, okay. And, my wife and I, we've done this where, some younger couples wanted to chat with us about, okay, how do you get to 25 years worth of marriage? Well, this is kind of things that work for us. You're talking about finding people that are successful and whatever it is that you want to be successful at, finding them, learning from them, talking to them, and then, I would have used a different term. I would have used tribe. Same idea.
Yep.
Okay. Good question, though. All right. Do you have any follow? Or Olivia? Yeah, go ahead.
Beth, I'm very interested in your timeline, like coming out of school. How long were you with Opus? When did you become a mother? How did that affect your career? And at what point were you at when you became a mother?
Yeah. So I've been with Opus my whole career. So I just
so boring.
Celebrated my
just kidding.
I celebrated my 28th work anniversary in December. So started with Opus as an associate project manager and had a fairly traditional trajectory. So associate project manager, senior project manager, director. I'll give you timelines in a second. Became our regional vice president in 2020. That's an interesting story I can share because my first day in my role as regional vice president was April 1st in 2020.
God. Terrible timing.
We were 2 weeks into working remote, and my office was literally 2 stacks of snow tires and a sheet of plywood in my garage. And that was my first day in my regional vice president position. And then
glamorous.
Pardon me?
Glamorous.
Very glamorous. Yes. I didn't think it was going to last long, right?
2 weeks. 2 weeks to stop the spread. Who remembers? Yeah, they told us we would only be teaching online for 2 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a bunch of
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yep.
Go ahead.
I did eventually get a chair. It did not just take 2 weeks. And then in 2024, I was promoted to executive vice president. So that was that's my trajectory. I got married a bit later. I was 32 when I got married, so I've been working for 10 years. I would have been a project manager at that point. Had my first daughter when I was 35, so she is 15, about to be 16. Had my second daughter when I was 37, so she's 13. So I've got 2 teenage girls at home.
Yeah,
is where I am in life.
yeah. Well, I've got 2 10-year-old girls at home, so yeah.
Buckle up.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so
Yes.
we had 3 boys, 10-year gap, twin girls. I've just made an observation: girls are different than boys.
So
In
I've heard.
awesome way. Yes, it is true.
I just have girls.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was probably coming back from my second maternity leave would be, I don't know, maybe peak work-life imbalance. So I was the lead project manager on a high-rise downtown Minneapolis, and came back from my second maternity leave. My second daughter did not sleep through the night until she was 3.
Ooh, my second son didn't either.
Yep. And I was the lead PM on a high rise, and I had a 2.5-year-old and a newborn.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a lot. We did not at the time have great accommodations for working mothers. Construction has gotten a little bit better. I was pumping. I had to pump under a blanket in my car in the parking ramp. The nearest bathroom with plumbing to get to was about a half-hour round trip to get to the bathroom and back.
Okay.
Yeah. And I needed all the support that I could get from my village to make it through that. And so that village includes your partner, your spouse, but even 2 people can't get through that. So it's parents, it's friends, it's coworkers, it's the superintendent that made sure that I knew that I couldn't come onto the job site because we were putting down epoxy flooring that had a high VOC content when I was 8 months pregnant. It's looking out for one another in that way.
Yeah, and that's why this is one of the things I say in construction, we think the job is about steel, concrete, bulldozers, crap like that. It's not really. It's more about people, relationships. At work, with clients, with subcontractors, it's really about people because
it's a people business, absolutely.
Yeah, and every contractor can buy the same concrete. Nothing special about it, but it's who the people you're working with, who the people that you're working for, who's working for you. Those are the important parts. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah, I'm oftentimes asked. Now in my role as a leader of teams, if I've come to see that work-life balance is not it's not a benefit, that a company can give you. That's not really how it works. It's a reciprocal relationship because I watch how 2 people with the same amount of qualifications do the same job very differently. And so it is not, work-life balance it's a communication. It is a relationship. It isn't static, which is maybe one of the issues that I have even with the terminology of work-life balance. Work-life balance for an engineer implies that it's some type of a scale that, like, if you have a long enough lever arm, you can make anything work. And recognizing that one person absolutely cannot do everything all at once. There is simply not a long enough lever arm to make that work. So it's on top of work-life balance is when I start to layer on the idea of a work-life village. Like, you can't do everything all at once. I can distinctly remember coming out from my pediatrician's office with a sick kid, and I'm standing in the parking lot, and I'm, carrying this extremely heavy car seat, and my phone is just ringing off the hook because there's something's happening on the job site where they need to get a hold of me. And so I've got a sick kid in one hand, and I've got my cell phone ringing on the other hand, and I just lost it in the parking lot. And I'm crying, trying to get into my car because I can't find my keys. And it's like, and so one person can't do it all at once. So you need to use your village, and you need to acknowledge that there's just seasons in life, and there are times when you have to kind of lean in to what's going on at work, and there's times when you have to kind of lean on others in what's going on in work, and it, as soon as you think you have it figured out, something's going to change.
No way.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Very, very good point. All right. Let's give, who's got a question over? There we go. Go ahead.
What does your spouse do for a living?
So my spouse has done a variety of things for a living, and we've gone very much back and forth in being at as close to 50-50 as we can be when it comes to domestic responsibilities, which is another conversation that we need to get better at having, is who does what at home. And it's not just the cooking, it's not just the dishes, it's who's planning the birthday party, who is scheduling the appointments, who is managing the swimming season, who's taking the phone call when a kid is sick. And having really specific conversations with your partner on how that's going to get divided. Because if those conversations don't happen, the assumption still is that the woman's going to handle the majority of the domestic labor. And if you are both working full-time, having an expectation that the woman is also going to handle a majority of the domestic labor, is not a fair separation. So we have split up in a variety of different ways over the course of now 16 years. I would say that the first 8 years, also there's some things that only the mom can do. So the first maybe 8 years, it was primarily me. The second 8 years, we moved from kind of more close to 50-50 to where my spouse was doing most of it. And some of this comes to that 2020 turning point that I told you about, where I had just been promoted and our kids were sent home from school. We were going to have at-home learning for the rest of
2 weeks, right? 2 weeks.
2
They told you,
weeks.
yeah. Okay. All right.
For the rest of the year, we were going to have at-home learning. And my husband, at that point in time, had just started a small business, and that was put on the shelf. There was no way we were going to be able to do all those things. So his small business was put on the shelf, and he stayed home with our kids and managed at-home learning while I ran construction for Minnesota and Iowa out of the garage.
That's pretty awesome. I got it. The whole idea, this is, I can't get past this. You're in the garage with snow tires and a piece of plywood.
Yes.
Running this huge company's 2 states worth of construction.
But
That's really awesome.
But I wasn't alone, right? We're doing, everything was suddenly on Zoom and on Teams, and I was literally in some of my team members' bedrooms, because that's where they had their offices. One of my associates was in his bedroom closet, is where he had his.
There you are.
Is where he had his office. You were making do with what you could find.
Okay, that's kind of awesome. All right. Did follow up or
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I was just wondering, what did you do when your kids were in the age before they go to school? Like, did you take them to daycare, or how did that work?
Yes, full-time daycare. So also in your village are paid caregivers, are paid dog walkers, are paid housekeepers, are people that are giving your kids rides. So you need to prioritize kind of where your time is going to be, and figure out what's the right fit for you and for your family. So my kids both went to full-time daycare starting at 4 months. And that was the right fit, the right setup for our family. Is it the right fit, the right setup for everybody's family? Absolutely not, but it was for us.
Well, we could say that about any fit, and that's the important thing to understand is that, like you said, you got to find that right fit. For our family, just finances. My wife was a school teacher, and that just paid terrible. So, and we had a big family. We have 5 kids. So for her, staying home made financial and just practical sense. Okay, but that's the other end of the extreme, and there's both systems. Here's the terrible part about parenting, is that you don't know if you did it right until they're in their 20s, and even then you wonder.
Yeah, and there's no guidebook. I mean,
God, no.
My kids will ask me, and I'm like, I don't know if you understand. I am making this up.
as making it up as we go along.
Yes.
Yeah, that is a great answer. All true. Okay, that's good.
That was really refreshing to hear, because I feel like I've heard so many times that the woman is kind of just expected to stay home for like multiple years while her kids are little before they can go to school and stuff.
That did not make me the best mom. Being home with my kids full time would not have made me the best mom for them.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and the two of us, like, growing up at the same time frame, in the same degree, came to 2 completely different alternatives, and they both worked for us. Mm-hmm. All right, and that's the key is, and this is actually something about parenting that I learned the hard way, is that when you start, like you said, you have no idea what you're doing, and yet people throw tons of, I'm going to use this term loosely, advice on you, and you've got to sort out what works and what doesn't, what's crap and what you're going to keep. And don't be afraid to do something different if it works. So find that like you said, it's not balanced, but find what works for you, wherever you're at.
At that time, and it can change.
At that time.
So recognizing that just because you chose this one path for right now doesn't mean it's going to be the path forever, and that you can shift and make changes as you go.
And, just look at, so over the course of having 5 kids, they are so drastically different. And what they need is different. So does that make you a different parent at different times? Yeah, it does. It does. And that's okay, Anyway, did you have any others to that?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, all right.
I do have a question. Okay,
right.
So I live far away from my family right now, and just like thinking about the future, it's like, do I want to move back close to my family to like have my village when I do have a family? Because I mean, it is really hard, and I know my parents moved away from their family when we were like kind of young, and I saw the struggle. So I was wondering, like, do you live close to your family, and like, do they play a really big impact in your village?
I moved away from home, so I was born in Illinois, raised in Illinois, came to Iowa, and then went to Minnesota. So I was 6 hours away from my parents. My siblings are in St. Louis, Dallas, Texas, and Atlanta, Georgia. So we are all over, and so also everyone's village looks different, and my parents weren't an active part of mine because of distance. My husband's parents lived nearby. They were about 4 miles away. However, they weren't interested in being that active, and respecting that also. They told us when we were pregnant with our first, and we were talking about whether or not they wanted to do one day of daycare a week for our daughter, and they're like, we've kind of already been there, done that. I'm like, all right, well, then that's not an option for us. So finding and building that village, which might include your family, your parents and your siblings, and it might not.
I would say, we didn't get a whole lot of help from really, from our parents, just distance and personal preference. But then you look at like my kids, they've all lived like right now. They don't have none of them. I'm not a grandpa yet, but I have expectations and it needs to happen fairly soon. Okay. My biological clock is ticking. Okay. I am at that point in my life. I want this done. We'll see about this, but anyway, but they've all chosen to live fairly all close together. They're very, very close. And on purpose, they're literally planning on that family support. And if that works, that is awesome. But kind of like with what Beth just said, and some may not.
Yeah.
But these are conversations you have to engage in. Like real hard conversations.
Yeah. And I didn't know how to have those conversations when I was first coming out of college. It took time. But I have higher hopes for today's generation. You are so much more emotionally mature and intelligent than we were. We had no boundaries. What were boundaries like that?
It was the 90s. We just punch each other on the shoulder.
There was we didn't know that, and so I had to learn how to protect my work-life balance. There wasn't a shared language around that there is now. And so I feel like the generation that's coming out of school now in the last couple of years is ahead of us in their ability to have those hard conversations, to protect their free time. I mean, work-life balance kind of implies that you have that you're spending that time on, say, a spouse and kids, but that's not it. That doesn't make it a higher priority that you should be able to have balance in your life, right? So I think I think you all will do better at that than our generation did.
Are you saying we weren't very good communicators?
We were not as good of communicators. We didn't, and we just didn't have the language for it either.
No.
I mean, if I'd gone into my boss when I first came out of school and let him know that he'd crossed a work-life boundary for me, I would have gotten a lot of confused looks. And now those conversations happen on the regular. And as you all are looking for places to work, those are conversations that you should be ready to have. You should be looking for a good culture fit that meets what you're looking for. And the things that I'd say to look for would be find an employer that prioritizes both care of family but care for community. And look at the tenure of the people, and not just the tenure of the executives, because
good call.
Because flexibility changes. My job is way more flexible now than it was when I was a day-to-day project manager. So look for tenure. Do you have superintendents doing day-to-day work that have been there for 30 years, for 40 years? Are there project managers that are doing day-to-day work that have been there for that long? Not just the executives.
Nothing tells you the health of a company like tenure does. Turnover. If you ask it about, if you're interviewing, you're talking to companies, and you ask them like, hey, what's your turnover like? And if they brag about it, it's an awesome start. But if they're like, oh, I think you'd find our turnover rates are very industry average. It's not a good sign.
Yeah, especially when you're talking about construction industry average.
Exactly. Turnover tells you everything about what it's like to work there. You don't even need to ask any other questions.
Yep. Ask to meet with. Ask if you can meet with a female project manager that has a family. Ask who their longest tenured project executive is. Somebody that's actually doing the work day to day.
Those are good questions. All right. Okay. More? Who's got some more questions? Yes, Lily, hit it.
Would you change anything about your track to get to where you were? Like, was there any step along the way that you wish would have gone differently? Or do you think it went exactly how you wanted it to?
I wouldn't change anything. It took me a bit of time to take full ownership of my career. I enjoyed just kind of riding the waves of what came my way for quite a while. I was probably close to 15 years in before, and I went back and got a master's degree. So in 2018, I went back and got a master's in organizational leadership, and I did that because I saw a gap in leadership at my company that I knew I could fill. And I think it worked fine for me to really just soak in all of those experiences up until that point. I don't know that I would have been ready sooner than that. But that is maybe something I would have put on my own radar sooner. That it is fine to ride the waves of what comes your way, and we're in a field that has a lot of really fun waves. But there also comes a point where you steer the ship more, and kind of knowing when that's going to happen for you is probably also different for everybody.
All right. Well, I would change one thing. I would have you score slightly lower in just one of our classes and let me get a better grade than you. This was the most frustrating part about going to school with this girl. You know, she outdid me in every class. And then we get to the double E class, right? Ellie, that's in it, right? I was in the double E class with her, and I'm like, this is it. I'm a naval nuclear reactor. I've gotten all this extra stuff and experience. I have repaired radars, and I'm going to outdo this woman in the double E class. Not only does she not miss a point on any exam, but she also doesn't even miss a point on the homework. Right? I'm still mildly bitter about this. That's what I would change. That's what I would change, Beth.
I didn't even remember that.
Yeah. Beth's like, whatever, just another A.
That was just another class.
A, just another class. Just another A. I don't remember because I think I got a 4-point and everything.
I didn't. I got 1 A-.
See my point? Do you see? What class was that? What jerk gave you an A-? Who gave Beth Duyvejonck an A-? We need to find this person. What class was it in? I'm dying.
It was last semester.
Oh, okay.
It was.
What was it?
Almost horrible to say.
What?
So I signed up for 2 classes at the same time my last semester.
Ellie's doing it right now, so she gets it.
Yeah, I'm doing that right now.
Right.
It's not fun.
Yes, they were at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to take the ballroom dancing class.
Yes.
What?
So-
Wait, you got an A- in ballroom dance?
No, I went to that class.
Oh, you went to that class. Hey, you know what? Next time we have this last fall, we had a Connie dance night out to our wedding pavilion.
Really?
Yeah, we did dance lessons.
So,
and
Brad, are we scheduling one for the spring?
Oh, we absolutely are. I thought that was a given. You guys, at the end of the night, everybody's like, "What's that?" No, you were the one that said we've got to do this in spring.
We have to.
Yeah.
How have I not been invited?
Because it's happened once.
Okay.
It was kind of a spur of the moment
It was
thing.
like a test run.
It's
Okay.
really
It was a
good
test
for the Connie community. We all became closer.
I think it was a great night. Gina and I gave dance lessons, because, well, I guess you got the A in ballroom dance, so maybe I took that class. I don't think I got an A, but anyway. Anyway, so you should come down for it.
Yes.
Yeah, bring your
That
husband.
that
come
is an
down.
invitation.
Okay, that is a definite thing that is happening. So wait, so what? So you got an A in ballroom dance?
Yes.
What?
I think it was either law or ethics, and it was
Wow.
participation. It was a participation grade.
It was a participation
and
grade.
I went to ballroom dance,
You got an A minus.
so I got an A-.
Got to make sacrifices, you know.
Yeah. You know what? Okay, one.
But you want to know how I met the most friends when I moved up to Minneapolis, knowing no one, dancing. I went out dancing, and that's how I made all my friends in Minneapolis. So it was the right choice.
See, that's how I met most of the people at Iowa State. Back in Hunky Dory's was a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, right. The country
remember
bar.
that.
Country bar.
Yeah.
It was a great bar. But anyway, right? Yeah, your dad knows. Yeah, we talked about this. Her dad was at Tazzles. Right, so I'm just saying, different crowds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Different crowds.
Yeah. But
Beth remembers both of those.
But I
bars.
heard someone say community. Someone used the word community. And when I'm asked, like, what would I tell my younger self? Some people ask me, what would you tell your younger self? And I would, as you mentioned, Brad, I was an overachiever. And
Okay, that's such an understatement. But go
and
ahead.
I firmly believed that I could do everything probably better than anyone else. And
Really? Well, oh, wow, gosh. Color me surprised about that.
so
revelation.
what I would tell my younger version
Yeah.
is that outcomes really are better when you collaborate with others. And it is a lot more fun to get there. And so I would tell my younger version of me that start getting comfortable with that sooner.
That is a very good call. That is a conversation I've had with a lot of students, although sometimes it goes more like, yeah, you can be right, but if you're a jerk about it, nobody wants to work with you, you know, and I mean, that happens. Well, I'm not saying it happens a lot, Beth, but, you know, it does happen to people.
It does happen.
It
I mean,
does happen.
when my daughters are having problems with their schoolwork, and I mean, I step in and help them sometimes, but more often I ask if there's a study group available. Is there? Can you go and meet with some friends and work through this? And there's a lot of research out there that people that study together and kind of learn those skills in studying and learning together, learn the material better. They kind of go further with the information, and it's more fun. It's more enjoyable.
You know, I think that's something that probably Connie does more intentionally than when we were students is the group projects. I think they're probably more demanding, more intense, you know, but as a result of that, I think that it makes the Connie community kind of rare, especially among engineering majors. You know, where you know the students are closer, I think, than most other majors. It was kind of true in the '90s, but it was more.
It was more cliquey.
It was more cliquey. It was more. Well, there were a lot fewer of us.
Yeah.
A lot fewer of us, and most of it revolved around various bars. You know, not that isn't any different. You know, but I think the amount of group work that you do now is more than just Connie's going out drinking, you know. Not that isn't a substantial part of your time, and I'm not criticizing.
The group work and being able to work in diverse teams is absolutely going to be necessary when you are in your careers.
Well, as I like to say it, or I don't really tell students this until they graduate, but Connie 241 is kind of a trick. It's actually a communication class masquerading as an engineering class. The actual construction learning is nice, but it's kind of a secondary thing. It's all about the group work. It really is. The communication parts, the starting, building professional reputations and friendships and that whole thing, getting the Connie students together. And the only way you really forge good bonds is through shared struggle. So in other
Trauma
words,
bond.
trauma bond. Yes, trauma bond. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm here to help.
We talk about that all the time.
Oh, you do? Awesome. Well, good. They figured it. See,
Yes.
the smart ones figured this out.
Construction relationships really are all about trauma bonds. We
Yeah,
have,
we just
See,
talk
it's
about
not just me.
yeah,
It's not
we-
just me.
No,
we talk about all having to have Brad as a professor, and it's just like it's pros and pros.
It's part of the rite of passage. You have to do it for 20 years now. Connie's for 20 years have had this trauma that I've inflicted, and for
No
good
kidding.
reason.
Yeah,
For good reason. Right.
You know, Brad, you're the number one asked about at the career fair. Oh, have you had Brad yet?
Have you had those classes yet? It is a point. See, now this is what I think. I think we should start planning secession right now for someone else to take my Connie 241 spot. I was trying to convince Beth to do it. I'm quite certain she could trauma bond a lot of Connie students. Oh, bad. So that's what I'm thinking. She doesn't want to move to Iowa yet, though. So
I think that your class stands out to most people, though, because they've been through it and they're like, yeah, we all trauma bonded from it. So then when they're like, have you taken Brad's class yet? They're like, oh, you've made it to like one of the hardest ones. Like, you're going to be fine.
you're ready.
you're ready.
Yeah.
You're ready.
Yeah.
Okay, that's true.
It's not because a successful construction project is not a one-person accomplishment. So being able to you are absolutely not going to be able to do it all. So it's how do you mobilize others to work alongside you to get to a successful project completion.
Well, that is an important part.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Ava.
What else?
Ava, you haven't asked a question yet. You got something?
Oh, I've got a few in the
Oh,
bank.
she's got her
yeah,
notes.
she's
All
got her
right. Oh
notes.
gosh, yeah. Ava's like, yeah.
One thing I was kind of wondering about was you obviously have a pretty successful career. Like, what do your daughters think about that? Does that affect them?
So my daughters, I acknowledge, are growing up with a very different view of like what do working parents look like. So neither one of them wants to be an engineer. Neither one of them is interested in construction. I do have one that's interested in science, thinks that she wants to maybe go into science. They are both very good at math, and you would think they'd be like grateful to me for that, but they harbor like this secret like anger towards me and being good at math. What I see though in them is they do firmly believe that anything's available to them, that they can kind of do anything, that they can kind of take on wherever their interest or their passion is. So they think it's totally normal to have like a mom that's wearing a hard hat and going on construction sites. This is just how everybody lives. So I don't know that they recognize that their upbringing is maybe a little bit different than others. It's normalized for them.
Kind of a follow-up to that. I guess we spent an hour talking about everything you do for others. What do you do for yourself?
Mm.
Oh, there.
I'm
there.
pretty good at that,
Yeah.
surprisingly. I love music, as demonstrated by my 1 A-. I am a fan of music. I love to read. I'm also a big fan of getting outdoors. I like hiking. I snowshoed on the lake the other day. I run. I lift weights. So exercise is a big part of it. I would say that doing things for others is also something that brings me a lot of joy. So I do like doing things for my family, for my friends. Making other people happy and smile brings me a lot of joy.
That's awesome. Okay, last question, I promise.
No,
I know
that's
you were
fine.
doing some research for your grad program. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So I got my master's in organizational leadership, started in 2018, graduated in 2021. And one thing that I learned about doing an MAOL, Master of Arts in Organizational Leadership, versus an MBA is that you need to do a thesis. So you need to select a topic, do independent research, and then write a thesis. And my thesis is titled One of the Guys, Women Leaders in Male-Dominated Environments. Actually, Tokenism and Women Leaders in Male-Dominated Environments. So I interviewed 6 women in male-dominated fields on a series of questions, and then I needed to analyze my research using an existing theory, and I ended up using the theory of tokenism to really, unfortunately, prove that absolutely it still exists in today's work environments. And what I had wanted to prove, my hypothesis was that as organizations began to have systemic diversity initiatives in place, that women's experiences would improve. And unfortunately, my research did not support that, so I had to go back and start applying some academic theory to try to understand why that is.
So,
and that could be a whole separate podcast, Brad.
Oh, it could be, huh?
It could be.
Could be.
Yeah.
You want to give us the Reader's Digest version?
Sure.
Since, you're here and it's a long way to Minneapolis.
Yeah, it's all about social, kind of social contracts. These things that we just accept as true and don't even question. And one of them is, we talked about already, domestic labor. There's just this understanding that some things just get done by the mom or the woman at home. But there's other social contracts that exist inside the workplace. One of them is a lot of times women are put in a recruiting role. So when you start working, you might see that a lot of the females are doing a lot of the recruiting. And research, what you might hear inside the workplace is they're just better at it. Women are just better at it, and so that's why they're doing it. But research would say that one of the reasons is that when some of the demographics don't start improving inside the workplace, that then the males in the workplace can say, well, we had a female who was doing the recruiting, so we're not responsible for improving the demographics in our workplace. So there's a whole series of kind of underlying social contracts that are going on between men and women, that until we start kind of peeling those out and starting to better understand these things that we just accept, that we can't change. We can't make the changes that we need to change until we really start exploring that.
Well, as someone that's been around the Connie program for a long time, I think I would give you hope that perhaps it is slightly changing. I'm not going to say largely.
Yeah,
but slightly.
I think so. I mean, I don't know if you remember when I got docked a letter grade for wearing
for
a
your pantsuit. Oh, yeah, I remember. Oh, Lord. Ladies, I have heard about this for 30 years now. She's still better about it.
Yeah.
I still remember the class and the instructor.
Because
burned into my brain.
Women should wear skirts.
Yeah, that's what he said.
That would not fly.
Yep.
It is because of this one reason why I very, 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 very rarely ever comment on the attire of our female students giving a presentation.
That is so true. You're always you tear apart the guys.
Yeah, I
your
do.
shirt's not tucked in. Your tie looks bad.
Well,
but
yeah, but they
I don't think I've ever. That
I
is
mean,
true. No, I will say we do know how to
back me up here.
We do know how to put ourselves together, but I don't think I've ever
Usually-
heard you be like, you should not be wearing that. It's
Yeah,
not
but
professional.
I can't think of, in all honesty, I can't think of the last time one of the female students showed up to one of those presentations and wasn't dressed appropriately.
She probably planned what they were all wearing too.
Yeah, no, that's because we plan what they're wearing.
Yes, that's what that's.
They still
that's,
can't shave their beards.
Yes,
Right?
we,
Yeah, the guys. Oh my God, what is up with this?
we can't go to their house and like do it for them, Brad.
Right.
Okay, but you see what I'm saying is
Yes.
I pick on them because it's so damn obvious. If I can see their 5 o'clock shadow in the back of the room, they didn't prepare. So, okay, I credit them for doing this.
Yeah, my favorite thing is when all the guys ask the girls what to wear. Like, we know what's in their
Yes.
closet and what color they should wear. They're all
geez.
like 3 of them will be like, I'll just wear black, I'll wear brown, I'll wear blue. I'm like, are you kidding me? So it's like, we have to do all of that coordination too. And that's, I guess that goes into project management.
Well,
that sets you up.
But it also goes into that's additional labor that then the women in the class are doing.
Yeah.
Well, you want to speak of additional labor? Let me just give you an observation. If you were to come into Connie today, all you looked at, let's only look at TAs, peer mentors, graders, and officers of clubs. What's the split?
It's
about what?
It's about 50.
It's about 50-50. You would think the program is 50% women.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and it is not.
It is not. It's, I think okay, Sophia, your class was at 25%, right?
Something like that.
Yeah. Like they actually it was like 25% women in the 241 class. I remember this because it was kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I remember looking around and
it
I
was
was
like,
everybody
wow.
told me that there were no women in construction.
Yeah, and
that was a lie.
Yeah, it was like 25%. But yet, okay, so if at most we're at 20, all grades, it's probably closer to 20%, right?
I would agree.
20 to 25. But yet, the positions that I would say kind of where you have to be looking to do something extra, that's 50-50.
Yeah.
Question is, what's up? I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know, maybe the person that wrote PhDs on this subject, or lady, you want to comment on it?
I feel like that could go in multiple different directions because I would say growing up, whether it's here or in high school, those positions were solely filled by women. And I feel like here, if we already are 20% of the program, you would think that those positions are still more filled by males, given that there's more of them in our program. So
well,
I think
it should be, but it's
not.
But it's not.
Yeah,
it's not. Why? I mean, I have my own theories on this, but I'm an engineer, not a psychologist. So
yeah, I agree that there's a lot of different ways that you can look at it, but I think that one of the many is that some women might feel that they have to go that extra step.
I believe that for sure.
Yeah, I know that's true for myself. Right. You
and
have to take that position because you're.
I've seen more women almost destroy themselves trying to be perfect.
Absolutely.
Instead of being okay with really good.
And I think that goes hand in hand with the imposter syndrome. And
it does. No, of course it does.
It does. Like when we talk
that's why
about,
she never let me outscore in anything.
Well, that's true.
She's just proving, hey, I belong here, dude.
Yeah. We talk about being afraid to ask questions and it's just being made to feel more stupid because you feel like you don't know as much as maybe some of the guys, and then it goes into a cycle because then you know less because you ask less.
Feeling like you have to be better in order to just get the same amount of recognition.
Right.
Not just better, perfect.
Yeah, perfect is
not an achievable standard.
Yes, and perfectionism and girls and women is a huge issue.
It is.
Yes.
It is. I've seen multiple,
definitely.
like almost. I've seen some where this hits so hard they fail out.
Yeah.
Withdraw.
My older daughter failed a final last semester, and we went out and celebrated.
Yeah, that's a
wow. Okay.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
She was like, I'm not going to do well. And then she didn't. And I'm like, nice. I'm like, you didn't just like not do well. You bombed it. Like, we are going out.
I really love that because I think I only learned to accept that. And it was a very hard thing to learn when I got to college, that it was okay to do below what my standard was in high school and before. And it was a very hard lesson to learn in college. And I wish there was someone that taught me that prior to coming to school here and trying to do engineering, because that's not a lesson you should learn this late in life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because I remember like in high school, I was also like a 4.0 student, and all of that up until like my final year, and I was taking like, AP chemistry, all these AP classes, and I had like a 2-week long breakdown because of an A- in an AP class. And then that destroyed me, because similar to you had such great grades until kind of the very end. It was like a hiccup, and it just takes such a toll on you. So I remember I'm the oldest daughter, so my mom also didn't know like how hard to push me. But coming and getting like all A's except an A- my freshman year, she was so relieved that I got an A-, because then I didn't start that trek of like,
Right.
all A's, and I had to kind of take the failure right away, and then it kind of set me up to learn how to not be perfect and
Right.
and just keep going, because if I would have been perfect for like a couple of semesters and then start to fail, then I would be, in a worse
Traumatized.
position.
Yeah, that's worse.
Yeah. It's important to know how to fail
Yeah.
and to be able to recover from a failure. Yep.
Mhm.
Ooh, good. That's a hard skill to develop.
Punchline.
It is. It is.
It is. It is. I think this is. I think that's one of the hard things. I'm just going to pick on society as a whole, not necessarily construction. But we can blame previous generations, parents, whatever, school administrators, whatever. But I don't think enough kids are allowed to fail. Thinking that will be the part that damages the self-esteem, that will be the part that gets like, no, I think it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, you got to learn to live with this, and a few hard knocks along the way. This is one of the reasons why, like one of my daughters, she's big into horse riding. That's one of the nice things about having her compete at age. Gosh, she started at age 7. I mean, here she is riding an animal that's like 1,200 pounds, with a whole bunch of rules and lots of ways to fail, and has. And that's a good thing to learn. It's like, okay, all right, you didn't do so good. What are you going to do about it? Can't just quit because it wasn't perfect. So those are good things to learn. But it's hard. Not enough kids are allowed to fail.
Yeah. And that expectation of perfection for women when you step into leadership roles is something that you have to be very, very aware of. And I've caught myself doing it, where I have to ask myself, would I judge this the same way if I'm doing a performance appraisal, or I am trying to come up with a solution? Would I judge this the same way if I was evaluating a man? And just being honest with oneself and asking that, because if you have been programmed to expect more out of women, and then you find yourself in a leadership role, you need to check your expectations, and you need to make sure that you're not carrying that into a leadership role.
Ooh, I have a theory. I would like to get everyone here's kind of feedback on. I have theory on teaching now that I've done 20 years ish. And having sons and having now daughters, I have this really controversial theory. I think men and women are different. Slightly, but important differences. I know it's a crazy idea. Okay, Beth, what would you say, like if we're looking at and let's focus on engineering and women in our construction engineering program. Do our students, the men versus the women, do they need slightly different things from the community around them? I have a theory, and I want to know your thought. It's like is it right to treat everybody exactly the same, or would men and women benefit from some different, not expectations, but different levels of support?
I think it breaks down even more than that, though. I think when you are supporting someone, you need to ask them what they need, and that varies even inside the population of women or inside the population of men. I'm often complimented because of the way I think, but I find that what people tend to do is they attribute very male qualities to how I think. So and some people have even said, well, you do so well in this industry because you think more like a man. like that's better, right? So I'll hear, well, you can process without a lot of emotions, and you're very pragmatic, and so these are the reasons why you as a woman have been successful in construction, which lays out this presumption that being a man is better, or thinking like a man is better. And so another thing I have to be very careful about is that as I think of the proverbial glass ceiling, and as I work really hard to break it, that the intent is not that the hole in the glass ceiling is Beth-shaped, so that the only person that can follow me through is someone who thinks exactly like me and acts exactly like me and does things exactly like me. It needs to be just shattered so that it gives space, because as you said, everyone needs different supports. Everyone thinks differently. Everyone processes differently. Everyone problem solves differently. And we need all of that. So yes, there are some things that women might need different than their male counterparts, but I think there are so many more differences for individuals that don't break down along gender lines. And so what I've found is, in order for me to be effective as a mentor, as an advocate, as a coach, is to ask, okay, what is it that you need to be successful? I have a lot of working fathers that are on my team, and what they need to be successful, because they have, our construction industry is changing in that regard too, where so many more of our men are working fathers with working spouses that are doing 50-50 at home. And so how they can show up at work looks a lot differently now than it did 25 years ago, where there was just this expectation that a working man had a stay-at-home wife that was doing all the things, and that's not the case anymore. But it's taking some time to crack. I mean, even recently when I got promoted and I was hearing about, here are all the other things that you need to do. You know, you need to choose the swag, and you need to plan the parties, and you need to do these things. And I'm like, well, how does this get done? And they're like, well, I mean, usually the wife does it. And I'm like, well, can I get one of those? Like, that's not an okay expectation, right? You know, right. We all have work-life balance, and in order for the mother in a traditional mother-father relationship to have that balance, the father needs to have that too, because they need to be partners at home.
Well, true. Well, my thought, if we were to generalize, which in the interest, like when you're teaching large groups, it's very hard to tailor the support for every person. You know, I've always thought, and this is, you know, kind of what you were saying about you know, me talking to the guys.
Yep.
And this is personal preference. I'd be happy for everybody here to tell me why I'm wrong. But one thing I've noticed, if we were to generalize, I think a lot of times our young men respond better to, I'm going to call it challenge, and women respond better to encouragement. Not that women don't need challenged and men don't need encouraged. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm just saying that I see this as a better response. You know, whether that's right or wrong. Although I think what you said about you know, people saying, well, the men act more rational and with less emotion. I hate to tell you this, but over the last 5 years, almost all of the group projects I've had have been the dramas come from the guys.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, yes. Good Lord, especially in the last couple of semesters. I do not know what it is.
The number of times that I am brought in to solve like personnel problems related to drama, emotion, and my boss has said, he's like, it's not lost on me that I'm pulling you in to try to resolve this.
I had for the first time last spring, the first time ever in one of my Connie 241 classes, we had a first. And that first was, I had a group of 3, and they fired them all.
They all fired.
Oh,
They fired.
There was no one left.
There was no one left.
So
They were. What's that?
So they all did the project by themselves?
Yep.
Wait, this
Well-
was last semester?
No, it was.
Spring.
It was.
2
It was.
semesters ago.
It was 2 semesters ago.
Interesting.
It was a group. I'm not gonna.
No, don't.
No,
name.
not gonna say names or anything. But
We'll
it
talk
was.
later.
Brad, was that our class?
I'm not saying a class, okay?
Wait a minute.
But it was 3. It was 3 of the guys, and there was like so much finger pointing. Like, he's not doing his share. He doesn't tell me what, it's like he doesn't talk. He doesn't communicate. You don't show up, like, on and on. Everything I do is fine, but what you do is crap. And like, couldn't find like the one student that was the problem after listening to this. And this was not like one time. This was like 3 weeks in a row with people not showing up, not communicating, and just crappy labs. Finally, I'm like, you know what? You're all fired. We'll find out who's doing the work and who's not, because you're doing, until the midterm shuffle of groups, you're just going to do them all individually.
Oh, this was like lab time?
Yeah, this is lab time. And so I fired all 3 of them. Oh, Lord. Yeah, it was like every week it was a new drama. And it was like, oh, my gosh. Anyway. So, when they're saying, yeah, we're telling the guys what to wear, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I believe it on some of them.
I had one friend, she was telling me about a group that she was in with 6 boys. She was the only girl.
Yeah.
And she had to...
What class?
The CE 160.
Oh, okay.
She had to bring...
Oh, so they're freshmen.
Yeah. She had to bring a pair of her boyfriend's shoes for this kid to wear to the presentation because he only had 1 pair of shoes at college and they were like beat up sneakers.
That's
She
crazy.
brought a pair of shoes for the kid to wear because they couldn't figure out what color shirt to wear at the same time. And she was in charge of getting 6 of them dressed and
Good luck
prepared.
for that.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Yes. So the mothering started early.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is why I'm like yelling at the guys, shave,
Yeah.
wear a belt. What is wrong with you? All right, fun fact. So in one semester, when you read all the evaluations at the end, I had one semester, same comments from the exact same class, 2 students sitting side by side. It was fascinating. One of them said, Brad's sexist and thinks women are inferior. And a comment that said, Brad takes it easier on the girls. It's not fair.
It's very frustrating how many times we hear that from our classmates.
Yes.
What's
Yeah.
that?
Oh, yeah.
What that I don't,
Not specific
Oh.
about you, but just in general.
what's that?
That
That
in
we have
any
it
of
easier.
our
We have it
classes,
easier.
Yes.
we have it easier, especially if the TA is also a female.
Yes.
That's a good
That
one.
is hilariously
That's
wrong.
a really
That
good one.
That is so wrong.
It
My
happened in
female
your
TAs are the
52.
meanest things
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
the past 10 years. I fear for the ones that have, Ava's my TA now, so now she kind of sees what she's supposed to live up to. But you look at the meanest TAs I've had and I don't mean mean. I mean the most demanding. Beth, they would make you proud.
Yeah.
Yes.
With regards to, that is hilarious that the girls do not give the other girls easier ride. That is such bullcrap.
But Brad, they do. Don't you know?
Apparently they do.
Apparently they do.
It's not like I studied
Do
for
any of
your
you
exam
believe
or
this?
anything.
No.
What's that?
No, not at all.
I was going to
believe-
say, I'm like, I do not see
Yeah,
this at all.
there's a whole psychological theory around that.
I believe
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I asked
Well-
more questions to be able to get a better grade on assignments compared
Okay.
to
All right. Well, here, Beth, I just want to point something out. When all 6 here are sitting in my class, front row, front row, front row, front row, front row, and second.
Front row.
front.
No, sometimes you would sit in the second row.
241 I sat in
Yeah.
the second row.
See?
352 I sat in the first row.
There you go. Okay. All right. So what I'm saying is,
They better position themselves for success.
are you saying that if you sit up front and pay attention, that it makes a difference?
No way.
No way. I'm just shocked at the revelations coming out on this podcast. You should write a thesis on this crap. You know what I'm saying? Sit up front, do better. Oh, it's amazing.
Don't forget your name tag.
Don't
Yeah.
forget your name tag. Yeah, you got to wear them.
I also
Or
think
have
it's
'em.
because we all know, okay, so I knew at least coming into this, I knew nothing about construction. My parents are both medical, not even close. And so
Yeah.
I was okay with being wrong and asking the questions to be like, okay, but why is it like this? And what are you talking about? Because I had no idea. And I feel like guys just don't ask that. And then it's like, okay, we ask the questions. We're okay with not being in the know of construction. Like,
You know, I think it's helped now that there are more women in construction,
yes, it does.
because I definitely see that different than it was, say, 20 years ago.
And there's something to that. I always felt comfortable asking the question because there was this assumption that as a girl, well, obviously she doesn't know. And so when I had to, I leaned into that. I'm like, you need to play the cards you have.
Yes.
Like if that is going to help me be successful, then if I'm going to have an easier time being able to be authentic and vulnerable because of your perception of me, then I will use that to make myself better.
That's also really interesting. Like when we would go volunteer for you or do some of the projects where you actually have to do handiwork.
Yeah.
A lot of guys would do the same assumptions. Oh, let me get that for you. You've never done it before, or you've never done drywall before. Like when we went and did drywall.
Yeah,
with
we did
you,
drywall for the
It
charity.
was funny
Yeah.
because a lot of people just were like, oh, like you've never had any experience with this. Like let me help you.
Okay, fun fact. So for that charity thing, when we were doing drywall,
Yeah.
what was the percentage of guys and girls that showed up to do it?
I think there were I don't know. I don't really remember.
It was almost 50%.
Yeah, I know I rode there with some girls, so it's like
See,
at
my
a
point.
minimum, yeah.
My
Yeah.
point.
I mean, where the industry is continuously needing to work is that we are getting better. We are more successful at recruiting women into construction. Our retention rate is not great.
Definitely.
Getting
I don't know if our
women-
retention rate of anybody is all that great.
that is true. Where we fall down, where we begin to lose our women in construction is when they are making the choice to have a family, and at the very least, we can improve our physical accommodations of women during that point in their life, and construction is finally getting better at that. We have wellness pods on our job sites that can accommodate if you are feeding your child, but they can also accommodate if you need to take a doctor's appointment and you need some privacy, or they can accommodate anyone who might have a headache and need a quiet space to sit for a little while. So one thing that I have seen over and over again is that when we provide accommodations for a specific need, it provides a benefit to everyone, to larger groups. So as we've gotten better at asking, let's say women, what do you need for supports inside the industry? What I've realized is that we've built supports that better position all of our associates to be successful. But going back to, at the very least, as a construction industry, we can make it physically pleasant to be at work for your entire lifetime.
And you know what? That is such a necessity, because here, let's rewind the clock. So this makes me think of a discussion I had in class. I was teaching, and I had to explain to the students what a union hall bench was. Okay, and so let's rewind the clock to the 90s when we were interns, and if a plumbing contractor needed more workers, they just called the union and called up the bench. How many guys you got sitting on the bench? Send them over, and they'd send whatever plumbers that were waiting for work.
Mm-hmm.
Students today had no idea that was a thing. That wait a minute, there'd be electricians and plumbers sitting around unemployed, or were they just the bad ones that got fired? It's like, no, they were, good ones. And I had to explain this. My point is that construction, we have treated labor like commodity for far too long. We've gotten ourselves into this problem.
Yep.
In that we've treated labor like a commodity, like it's just there. Like if somebody blows out their elbow or their shoulder, doesn't matter, we will just get more. Well, that's not true anymore. It's not true.
No.
We can't drive people like that. We need workers for the long term.
Correct.
This is why things like, okay, so when we looked at in 241 exoskeletons, right? I'm like looking at this thing like, oh my goodness, I wish I would have had one of those when I was younger, and like, that would have saved some injuries and some problems. And I think they're going to become as commonplace as hard hats. Why? Because we need people still able to do the job. We don't have enough, and we can't treat humans like they're the easy part to replace, because they are not.
Right.
So, I mean, I 100% agree with what you're saying, is that the better you make the job site for everyone, the better your company will be. Because we can get more concrete and we can get more steel easier than we can get that plumber that I was talking
Correct.
about.
Yep. Yeah, so there is a lot more robotics, and now if you're demoing a block wall, you might be using a joystick instead of a
Exactly.
hammer.
You're sitting back, running
Yep.
it.
Yep.
And that's a good thing.
Right.
I mean,
right.
Why, if we're short of people, why not have one person doing that all day without strain or injury when they can run the joystick? So anyway, this is I wholeheartedly agree with your thought, is that we have to make it more people friendly industry, top to bottom, men, women, everybody.
Yes.
All right. Okay, Beth here. So they've all had a chance to go through questions, which if you have more and you think of, please stop.
Are you going to let me look at my notes?
Yeah.
and
Do
see
we
if I
get
missed
through
anything?
do we get through all your notes here, or how many pages you got in this dissertation you got there?
It's just kind of a page and a half.
Okay.
But I think we actually hit all of it. Maybe the last piece is, and you and I talked about this a little bit, Brad, as we were walking here, and you asked, like, well, what's going on in your life right now?
Yeah.
And I think that we tend to focus on, I'm going to need this kind of flexibility for the 16 years when my children are small, and only is it going to be parents that need this kind of flexibility. And that's not the case. That someone mentioned community. So finding out how your work treats family and treats community is going to be important, because you don't just need that balance for the 16 years while your kids don't have driver's license. You need that kind of balance and that kind of flexibility for the entire time that you are at work. And it's not just for women or for moms, because you are going to have aging parents at some point. And how well does your company support you to take care of aging parents? And as, again, we think of this one problem that we're solving. So we think, we're solving the problem of working moms. But the solutions that businesses are putting in place to solve, that problem actually make for a better environment for everybody to be able to have a career that's going to last for 30 years or 40 years with the same company. Because it needs to support you through a lot of seasons of life.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I know the reason I'm here at Iowa State is only for one reason, and that's because it had a lot more flexible schedule. Allowed me to be a good dad when the boys were all little, and still allows me to be pretty flexible, through the girls. And, not doing it for the pay or the good parking, So I think that is, for everyone, flexibility.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right. Yes, go ahead.
I'm not really sure yet how to phrase this, but I wanted to share that I guess the driving factor for why I've been so interested in talking to women in the industry is because we all have different upbringings, and my mom put her career on the back burner to raise me and my two other siblings, and my dad was never home. And so I guess even within my entire family, I don't have anybody to look up to that is successful and that puts their career like on the top of the line, like this is what's important to me. And how did you determine or come to the decision that it was going to be equally important for you to be successful in your career, but also be at home and be a good mother? And it's like, I look at my mom and she really prioritized being a mother. And now she tells me, now that I'm old enough to understand that, you know, she kind of regrets not pushing herself in her career, but she didn't really have that ability because she had to be at home.
Yeah. And I think I'm a little bit jealous of all of you because you're going to have more role models than I had.
Yeah, I can't think of a single female professor that we would have had back then. And now it's over 50%.
Yeah.
Just as an example.
Yes, as an example, right.
Was there
I don't know if there was. And I know when I interviewed with my company, they had to scramble to find a female that I could interview with. And she was like with a different company, and they like brought her in.
Hey, there you are.
So pretty much
it's a different world.
Every step of the way, I've been the first, right? I was the first senior project manager. I was the first director. I was the first that I knew of that took a maternity leave. And so being able to have those role models, I'm a little bit jealous of all of you. But it wasn't one decision. I think maybe it would be a longer answer to that. It wasn't just make the decision today and then never think about it again. It's continuous effort, continuous thinking about it, continuously finding what is the best situation for my family at this time. And in my situation, in my family, I had the better job. I was better at my job. I had a higher ceiling, and so it made more sense. And we put a lot of effort into figuring out how that works. And it hasn't always been easy. I haven't always done it right. I'll share an example. Recently, the concept of a fun mom came up, and my kids laughed at the idea of even thinking about me as fun mom. They're like, oh, you're not a fun mom. You're a working mom. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Like, I want to be a fun mom. And that there wasn't a whole lot of time for that, right? I needed to be a good mom. And so fun mom didn't get to happen. And so just it's a decision that you're kind of making almost every day. But it's available, and I do not for a second think that my daughters are worse off because I worked. You know, I think that they are going to be much better equipped in going forward and creating good relationships for themselves. I think they're going to be better at planning out their own futures and kind of making decisions for themselves because they've watched me.
You know, I think you also have to give Beth a lot of credit. She said she didn't have mentors, and like she is the person that talked me into Connie in high school. Like she met with me, she laid it all out, gave me all the challenges of construction.
This? I did not realize this.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
And she's the reason I'm here. So you really can't understate what you're doing by being the first and going through all of it.
Thank you.
And then
Ava.
coming back.
Wouldn't she be great as a teacher here at Iowa State?
Yes.
I mean, wouldn't she? You know, I have tried to recruit her seriously since I started teaching here. How many times have I called you up and been like, hey, there's a position open here. You should really do this. And she's like, no, I'm not taking that pay. She laughs at me every time. Every time.
I have never said I'm not taking that pay.
Oh, okay, but every time you laugh at me. Notice she didn't say that yet. She's like, no.
I love my work. It is.
You did once say that you weren't taking that pay.
I might have.
You think you did once.
But I love what I do. And I find a lot of joy and purpose in what I do. And I mean, what else are you looking for, like from a parent, right? That can provide for a family and come home from their work like feeling joyful, like that. There's something to that.
Oh, there's a definite pride in providing for your family. There's no better feeling in the world. So, all right, solid question. Ava thinks you should be a teacher at Connie. I'm just saying. All right.
It's not a bad idea.
See?
Ava's dad might have a problem with that.
Oh, is that? Okay, now it's starting to become, okay. He was dead. I remember I suggested this once, and wasn't it one of your bosses like, hey, shut up?
Tom might have called
you. Yeah,
you.
he literally did. He's like, shut up. Anyway, all right. I can still say it. All right. Well, I can wish in one hand and Okay. Any other lasting comments, thoughts? And if not, we'll let Beth see if she wants to make a final thought on being here as the guest and talking to this group.
Oh, wow.
Are you going to try to hire any of them away? I mean, I
would try to hire all of them. I was mentally logging there.
You're like, okay, she's going to stalk all of you.
Check.
She's going to find all of you on LinkedIn.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you're going to start seeing Opus stuff in everything you look at.
I would just say that I'm available to all of you to answer questions, to give advice, guidance, bounce anything off of me. Happy to do it.
And I would strongly encourage you to use that.
Yes. What I love is when I'm having conversations with women and they're like, oh, I keep hearing that the construction industry is challenging for women, and I haven't experienced that yet. And I'm like, oh, that is so heartwarming to hear. And
what's that like?
And also, don't lose my number.
Don't lose.
Not yet.
Yeah, good call. Good call. All right. Okay, well, that was an awesome discussion. I sure appreciate all the students for taking the time and, skipping class. Thank you, Ellie. Right? That was nice. Oh, and, yes. Oh, that's right. You skipped too. Okay.
I did too.
Oh, Alexia did too. Awesome.
I think you're going to have to get us out of some of these
I will,
classes.
if you need a little email, I'd be happy to do that. Okay. That is not a problem because this was a conversation worth having. Beth, thank you for driving all the way down from Minneapolis.
It was my pleasure.
Because I know this burns like 2 days.
Please come back.
Yeah. And teach.
Yes.
That's what she meant.
Yes.
Or dance.
Get me in the
dance.
classroom
Okay.
or invite me to your dance.
Yes. We are 100% doing this when the weather gets nicer because there are no walls on our pavilion at our wedding venue, and we're absolutely doing that this spring for sure. Okay.
I'll be there.
All right. Well, with that in mind, I'm going to wrap up another episode of The Office Hours with Professor Brad Perkins. Thank you all for listening and attending.